Well, hello folks, this is a redo. I did this video an hour or so ago and I didn't realize, one, that we were going to have company. Well, the people that clean our house came and our dogs started yapping. Um, and also I didn't realize, more importantly, that uh, the program that I used didn't include the entire Photoshop screen. So you couldn't see the tools that I was using. So this is a do-over, and once this is done and up, I will delete the one I did. But we're going to talk about what I do, and there are a lot of ways to do this, but what I do to clean up the image once the stars have been removed. And there will be remnants, and even when the remnants are removed, the background needs some attention, and no better way to and time to do that when the stars are removed. So I'll show you what I do, and as I mentioned, I know there's a lot of different ways to skin the cat. Now, for the most part, I do the lion's share of all work using PixInsight, and I'm going to start with that just to show those PixInsight users what I would do if I didn't employ Photoshop. So without further ado, let's head over to Photoshop, and we'll get this, or PixInsight, and we'll get this show on the road. Okay, we should be looking at the entire screen for checking this out for just 1 second. Yep, okay, we've got the entire screen now in the video. My software that I use, which is Ecamm, just used the application rather than the entire screen in the last video. So at any rate, here is the starless version of a galaxy that I captured last week, and as you can see, there are a lot of artifacts that were left, remnants from the stars, and there are things that you can do in PixInsight that I mentioned in the last video, but I'm going to show you. This is the clone stamp tool, and it operates extremely well. I'm going to use something similar to that in Photoshop, but first let's make a clone of this, and so we can move the other image into Photoshop. Let's go ahead and put our stars to sleep for a minute. But I'm going to click reset, and I'm going to use my command on a Mac. On a Windows, it would be your command or control, and I'm going to set an anchor point. Yeah, let me reset this. And why aren't we do this again? Hang on a minute. Always problems. Okay, having a hard time getting it to anchor. But you set the radius of your circle, and I'm going to set this to about 121, and I'm just going to click, hold down your command or control, set a new anchor, and then you're anchoring an area of your image where you want like pixels to fill the remnant area. So I'm going to actually make this a little bigger. I'm going to type in 150 because this is a good size. Hold down the Command or Control and drag that here, 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 here. We still have remnants here. So you get the idea of how the clone stamp works. And then when you're ready to work on the background and you're using PixInsight, incidentally, I'm hurrying through this, but where I actually working on a presentable image, I would zoom in to this image and I would go over it much closer, removing remnants that they're kind of hard to see from here, but I know they're there. So we're going to make sure, if you use the clone stamp tool, that when you're done you execute. Otherwise all of those keystrokes were for nothing. Okay, they've been applied. Then I would go up to Script, Utilities, and go down to Game, which is going to bring up this box, and I would click Add, and I'm going to make a mask. About that size, and I want a gradient mask. I'm going to click OK. And so here's my mask, and I'm going to drag it on top of my image and place the mask. I can put the mask over here. I'm going to go to Mask. I don't have a need to show it, but right now only the galaxy is going to be affected by any changes I make. And what I want to do though is work on the background. I'm not interested in making any galaxy changes right now, so I'm going to go to Mask and I'm going to invert this mask. So now the only thing that is going to be affected by changes will be the background. Let's bring up Curves and let's open a real-time preview so we can see what we're doing before we actually hit the apply or execute. And I'm going to take this RGB linear layer and I'm going to drop it down, and as you can see I am darkening the background. I'm going to apply that. It did have some effect on the galaxy, so now what I'm going to do is go to the mask and I'm going to invert it again. So now all I'm going to work on is the galaxy, and I'm going to bring it up and I'm going to bring back that information that I lost when I ran it. Okay, so drop this down a little bit. So now I have my background prepared for my stars, and I can close out this real-time preview because I have applied it. I'm going to put my clone up here and I'm going to remove the mask. So now there's my galaxy without the stars. Here are my stars, and if I wanted to add my stars, incidentally, what I would probably do with my stars is I zoom in, they're kind of soft looking, kind of without any real pizzazz to them. So I'm going to go over to Curves and I'm going to click another real-time preview, and I'm going to anchor them a little bit and bring up a little of the luminosity in the stars, and let's see if I did any damage doing that. No, but they look a little better. And so when it comes time to combine them, all I'll do is go over to Pixel Math. You can find that under Process, All Processes, and if I can keep the mouse from losing me, and go down to Pixel Math, and it's already open, and I'm going to click RGB, and I want to check use a single expression, and I'm going to add stars plus galaxy, and then I'm going to select create a new image, and I want it to be an RGB color image, and I'm going to drag this process on top of the stars, and here's the combination of the galaxy and the stars. It's added the two together. Now if your stars are too bright, you might want to change your equation to say 0.80% times your stars. Hang on a second. And run that again. And so you have the same contribution of stars, but you have a different level of luminosity added. So you can vary that how you wish. Well, I'm going to close both of these. I'm going to leave the stars alone. I'm going to leave this, delete that image. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to save this image into Photoshop. So we're going to go to Save As, and let's just put it on my desktop, and we're going to create a new folder called Galaxy, and that's where we'll put this. And yes, correct, nope. We're going to save it as a TIFF file, so we're going to save as TIFF, and I'm saving as a 16-bit unassigned integer TIFF file. Now I want to do the same thing with the stars. Save as TIFF, 16-bit. Now we're going to go into Photoshop, and is it open? I don't think it is, and we'll open Photoshop. Okay, let's now find the desktop and Galaxy, and let's open both of these images. Let's get rid of the crop, and let's work on the Galaxy. Oh, I don't want this particular galaxy. Let's delete this. Let me go back to PixInsight. Let me get rid of Pixel Math, and no, did I already? No, unfortunately, don't want that. Well, dadgone. I know what I can do. All right. Well, let's go back into Photoshop. and we're going to open in a different file that I know. It's in Astrodial 2022 January. This is when I took this one, I think. And here's the starless. Okay, this is what I wanted because I wanted to show how I work on it. So we have a lot of artifacts here that we want to remove. We use the clone stamp tool in PixInsight, but if you're not a PixInsight user but you have access to Starnett using Star Tools, or you choose to use Starnett as a standalone, so you have now stars and you have your galaxy or your nebula, and it's time to clean up the background before you combine the stars back with your image. So I'm going to go over to the toolbar, and I'm going to use probably both the spot healing brush tool and the patch tool, but let's use the patch tool for now because we've got some big areas to remove. And I'm going to draw a circle around, let's say this one, and move it to an area close by with similar pixels. And that's kind of important that you find similar pixels. Again, I'm going to do this rather hurriedly. I'll miss some. That's okay. Just get the idea that this is what you're going to be spending a good bit of time doing until you get the background. In fact, this red line's got to be removed due to a crop. Let's see, a lot of stuff over here. And you can actually affect big areas of the sky in your image if you are so inclined. When your Command D deselects, if you want to zoom in on your image, then you can take a tour around looking for more artifacts that you've left and work your magic. And so right now we're going to leave this kind of alone, but since we've zoomed in, you can see this color noise that was created, and we want to do a couple of things. One, we want to desaturate the background some, removing green and red, which will help tone down some of these more extremely illuminated parts of the noise, and we're going to darken it as well. So let's zoom back out, and now that we've kind of removed the remnants, let's I use a program called Nick software. It's a plug-in. It has to be purchased. It's a fast way to create vignettes, make your own vignettes on the fly, and do a number of other things, from apply noise reduction to sharpening, and a lot of different things in between. Powerful software. I highly recommend it. But one of the particular tools that I enjoy working with deep space images is Vivesa. So I'm going to activate this. It's going to create a new layer and a layer mask. And we're going to fit this to the screen. And what I intend to do is to click on Control Point right here at the bottom right. And I'm going to go up in the corner, start there. I'm going to make this circle a little bigger. And then, by the way, all the adjustments above the word Control Point are global, and all the adjustments below will only affect those encompassing the area of the control. So, and it only affects similar pixels. So I can darken this area, and which is what I want to do, and it will affect just those pixels. So let's drag the brightness down some, about there. I'm going to hold down the the option key on a Mac. It's control key on a Windows, and that lets me duplicate this setting, and I'm going to drag it to the darker areas and do the same thing. So I've darkened the background around the nebula, and after I do this, it dawns on me, doggone, I should have lowered the saturation as well. So I can draw a box around all of the control points, and it will grab them all and link them. And now I'm going to go to saturation, and again, I don't want to do it globally because I don't want to affect the nebula. So I'm going to do saturation, only affect those in the control part, and I'm going to drag this to the left, which desaturates some of the green red areas of the noise. So my noise should be pretty well tampered down in the background, and my nebula should be pretty much unaffected. So now I'm going to create another control point. I want to zoom in about 1 to 1, and I want to put this control point on the blue area of my nebula. Let's find a nice blue area. Let's try right there. Well, I didn't get a control point. And let's make our circle a little smaller, and let's go down to warmth, and instead of warming it up by moving the slider to the right, we're going to cool it down and move it a little bit to the left. So you can really cool it, but we don't want to go there, but we want to do some. And then let's go 2 to 1. I want to get a control point. It's up here now, and I want to put it on the red, and I want to go down and I want to add a little structure to that hydrogen. I want to saturate it a little bit, and that's about it. Maybe a little contrast to that area, and I'm going to hit apply. So we're going to apply all of those control point settings, and that will take the image back into Photoshop with all of these changes made. So we have made some major changes now to this background, and we made these changes before we went into Vivesa, and then Vivesa we darkened and we enhanced the galaxy. So now we're ready to combine the stars with our image. So let's find the stars, and let's zoom in on these, and so when we blend these together, none of the background is going to be introduced to the image where our galaxy is located. So we don't have to worry about making a mask for the stars to protect this background. This background will not play in the final image, but we may want to go up to filter. Let's zoom in a little bit. Let's see our stars. We might want to go up to filter and see if smart sharpen. Let's find sharpen. Smart sharpen can, by the way, I just reminded myself that all right, we're at 500 maximum amount, and here's where the changes are going to make where you change the radius. Look, I've brought out some smaller stars by sharpening, and I don't want to do that. Let's drag this down. Let's drag this down to about 5. Okay. I said I thought I was ready with my background, but I'm not. But we're going to apply sharpening to these stars before we combine. And we have a large 16-bit file. It's going to take it a second to apply sharpening to each of those stars. Now I want to go back to the starless image, and I'm going to zoom in, and we're going to move up some. You can see my background looks pretty good. There's some blotchiness, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the I don't want the quick selector. I'm going to grab the lasso tool, and I'm going to draw a circle around my galaxy to make this mask. Now, because I just want to work on the background, I'm going to invert this mask by going up to Select, Inverse, and now the only thing I'll be working on will be the background less the mask. So this is protected and this is revealed. So what I want to do is go to Filter. Now I could use different noise reduction algorithms to apply here, but the easiest and simplest and perhaps the best way is just to put a layer of Gaussian blur on the image. Now we don't want to affect the galaxy. We're headed up here, and 3 pixels is a gracious plenty, so that's what I'm going to apply. So now any noise that was in that background is no longer. I want to deselect. You can do that by Command D, or go to deselect and hit deselect. And now it's ready to combine the stars. So I'm going to go to Stars, and we're going to select All, which is going to put a selection box around the stars, and I want to copy that layer, and we're going to select Copy. Let's go back to our starless image, and let's go to Edit, and now let's paste the stars. So we have nicely pasted the stars on top of our image down here, but you can't see the galaxy. The way we're going to reveal that is use the blending mode. So we're going to go to where it says normal. We're going to grab this pull down, which gives you other options, and we're going to head down to lighten, and the lighten mode or the screen mode. The screen mode is a little sharper. The lighten mode runs a little smoother introduction of the stars, and I prefer that, so I'm going to select the lighten mode, and now I'm going to flatten the layer, which reduces the file size and makes it easy to save. And if you're a cloud user of Photoshop, you'll have to probably select the export for save feature and go to save for the web, and this will make it a much smaller usable file. Click about 1500 pixels. It will save it at 72 DPI. JPEG, I have quality set for 80%. Anything I put on the web, the net, is pretty much these settings. I'll save it. And one of the things that I like to do when I save an image is I like to rename it and put the word web in it, and that just tells me that this image has been sized for the internet. And this is NGC 2403. and we're going to give it a save. And I want to show you something else that's just mind-blowing to me. And I want to go to I want to show you this image, the focal length that actually was taken. This was the luminosity layer that I used in making this image. I combined the luminosity. Once I had the RGB channels combined and processed, then I processed the Lume channel and I combined them in PixInsight. But this is the size of the galaxy as I took this image. And I cropped in so tightly that this is the size of the galaxy after the crop. And I was able to retain a considerable amount of detail, although I would like to add some structure to this. I probably will even try getting my lasso and covering this up and going up to Smart Sharpen. Don't use Unsharp Mask for any of this. Use Smart Sharpen. And then you can play around with your radius and see if you can. Another good way to apply sharpening, and probably the best way, is to make a duplicate layer by hitting Command J and then going up to Filter and come down to Other and run High Pass. And then look at your galaxy. Let me move this over some. Look at the area here and adjust this slider so you have very few artifacts. Maybe there, and hit OK. And then go up to Normal and come down to Overlay, and you'll have this before, after, before, after. It's a very subtle but a very effective sharpening effect, and is the use of the high pass filter and blending layers. I'm going to zoom in a little closer, and this is with the high pass filter applied, without, with, without, with, without, with, and without. Okay, I'm going to come back. This video is getting long, and I am going to come back with another video on how to apply selective noise reduction to a galaxy like this, which allows you to remove some of the noise and splotchiness that's in the galaxy without affecting negatively some of the structure that you have going on, which is what makes the galaxy an image. So with that being said, thanks for watching, guys. If you consider subscribing and liking and hitting the bell or whatever that is, then you'll be notified the next time I make one of these videos. But again, thanks for watching. Say something nice to somebody. You're both going to feel better for it. And if you're so inclined, remember Ukraine, the folks there, their families that have been separated, the agony of losses that they've gone through, both in people that they know, friends and family members. It's heartbreaking, and just pray for an end to this, and that these families can be reunited and return to their home. Pray for our leaders, that they make the right decisions, whether you like them or not, that will lead us in the right direction. Everybody have a great rest of the day or night, and I'll catch you the next time I do one of these live sessions or tutorial, whatever they are. So see you later, guys.